Welcome to the Political Matrix News. We have the sources, we have the truth from inside the political matrix.
Hello, folks. This is Greg Fink here with the Political Matrix News. And hello, Scott. How you doing?
Holding down the fort in Northwest Florida.
Holding down the fort in Northwest Florida. I'm over here in Gainesville, Florida, and we're busy working on campaigns. And it looks like it's going to be an interesting political year, interesting campaign year, as we've been doing this for the last 30 years. However, we just got done watching the press conference, which we won't talk about in this segment. We will tease it for the next segment. But if you haven't watched it, download it with Netanyahu and Trump. It's a doozy. It's a doozy. But, I mean, first of all, we're only 14 days into the election of what the Democrats would call the future Antichrist. Republicans would call the future Jesus. I mean, but at the end of the day, it's the wonderful presidency of Donald J. Trump, and he has done a lot in 14 days, more than anybody.
Well, I'll tell you, I like this new strategy of his, because basically what he's doing is he's rolling out so many things so fast that only certain Democrats are going to complain about one thing. But because all of them are such big things, no one can get enough airtime to get traction. It's genius.
Exactly. I mean, we even have the insurrection now of the Democrats today at the U.S. Treasury Department. It's not the Capitol. It's not the People's House. It's the Treasury Department. It's the people's money. And so they're protesting at the people's money's house, the people's bank. And it's all over USAID.
Exactly.
It's all over about the USAID issue. Yeah, go ahead and talk about what you see about going on with that today.
That USAID is so ridiculous. I mean, all it has ever been is a little slush fund that the Democrats, generally speaking, the more liberal, portions of our government would use to kind of incubate their own little minds and their own little issues and be able to, internally, or at least in their districts, take credit for these wonderful things that they do. So they'll go into people who, like, I don't know, let's see, who are some beneficiaries of this? Like Serbia. They'll go into Serbia and or they'll talk about, if they have constituents who are Serbian, they can talk to them about the wonderful money that's being spent in by the United States and Serbia. What they don't tell you is what they're spending the money on. They'll talk to all of these countries and they'll brag about their constituencies that happen to be from these countries and talk to them about all the money that they're spending to benefit their country. And we're trying to benefit our allies over here and benefit our allies over here. Well, here's how we're benefiting our allies in Serbia. We're giving them $1.5 million to advance diversity, equity, and inclusion in workplaces and business communities. Why do we care about that? If Serbia is not more interested in DEI, why the hell are we promoting it there?
I mean, we got rid of it here in America already.
Yeah, finally. But
so we're going to pay for it in a different country.
Yeah, they got $70,000 for a DEI musical in Ireland.
They got money for comic books, like $70 million for a transsexual comic book.
I mean, all of these things that are just ridiculous. And some of them are relatively low ticket. I mean, $40,000, $70,000, $30,000. I mean, on their face individually, they're not a lot. There's not a lot to them. But they add up. And when you've got tens of thousands of these little programs, then all of a sudden you're talking about some serious money. Millions, billions of dollars. We've only scratched the surface.
I know. I mean, and the whole idea here is that if you look at the mannerism of how they spend it and the tone of the area they spend it more on lifestyle choices and lifestyle extravagances or conveniences than anything to do with keeping people alive or feeding them. Do you honestly think that the government, do you think that we endeared ourselves to the government of Serbia by giving them money for DEI stuff? Serbia? I mean, we're giving people money for plays and for TV shows and for comic books and for literature. And for condoms and stuff like that. The sexual attention to this is, I think in the billions of dollars, and it all adds up. We're in the hundreds of billions of dollars of stuff to help sexually make the rest of the world a better place. Well, that's great, but they should be handling it their own.
Yeah, well, to be fair, the things that are popping the media right now are the things that are probably some of the more egregious sounding things. But I guarantee you there are things that sound perfectly benign. Like, oh yeah, I kind of support that. Right. Until you get into the details and you see how they're really how they say they're going to spend the money and how they actually spend the money are two different things. And you should know that.
It's like this is their biggest reason for beating up on Musk. I mean, people don't realize that Musk is a very autistic individual. He's an extreme, brilliant man who came up with the idea of PayPal and SpaceX and Tesla and everything, like, in those areas of science and technology. But he has autism, so he has some awkward tendencies and everything else that are not, regular with, coping with, everyday society, everyday people. And so I have 2 autistic children of my own. And so I'm very familiar with how, people look at autistic individuals and they look at them in different manners. And they don't look at them as regular people. And I think they don't really understand to the degree that, Elon Musk, his condition that he has. I mean, one thing about autistic people, they're very brilliant. They're very smart, very analytical individuals.
Well, they can be. They certainly can be. And to be fair,
he's really breaking the wheat from the chaff here very well.
Well, I don't know how much of it they're blaming on autism, but the reality is that it doesn't matter.
Well, how he behaves. That's exactly they're blaming any of it on autism. They're just calling him an asshole.
Well, he is. But so what? Doesn't make him wrong. You can be an asshole and be completely right.
Right. I agree. I think he's being an asshole. I think he's doing everything right. I mean, he's doing a great job at finding exactly what waste needs to be cut.
Well, he is, but I mean, he's kind of thumbing his nose at people a bit, and I get that. But the thing is, he's trolling them because they're being ridiculous, and that I think that they totally deserve. I mean, is he being a little bit of an asshole in that regard? Sure he is. But so what? He is not wrong.
No, he's not.
I mean, he's doing what Trump is doing. And if people haven't caught on to Trump's shtick by now, let me break it down for you. Because all Trump is doing is saying regularly these outrageous things to get people spinning their wheels over here while he's over here doing what he's actually going to do. The China and the Mexico thing and the Canada thing. He told those people that he was going to blow up their economies, and they stood defiantly for a couple of days trying to think, oh well, the world will come save us. The world ain't saving nobody because they got their own problems.
Yeah, we haven't jumped to that part yet. I mean, the week started, which was just yesterday, with the 25% tariffs that were going to be levied on Canada and Mexico. Everybody was kept on saying that tacos and toys and everything else were going to go up 25% because a lot of them are made in Mexico and Canada. And that did not happen. I mean, they all backed down. And to me, I thought it was egregious that they would even stand up to America for the reasons why we're asking them to help us. We're asking them to help us keep drugs out of our country. We're asking them to help us keep criminals from coming into our country. We're asking them to help us keep the borders safe and clean. It's good for them. It's good for us. It's not bad for anybody. And so unless they're on the take, or unless they got some sort of envelope process going through where blind guys just hand out these wonderful big stuff full of envelopes like they do in the movies, if that's real, then that's their issue. They need to deal with it. But the reality is that we are just asking them to keep Americans safe, American consumers safe, and the border safe. Otherwise, they're going to get tariffed. And the whole idea that they're going to, buff that was just ridiculous. I mean, are you kidding me? And so at the end of the day, Mexico sent troops down, 10,000 troops up to the Mexican border. Now, the cartels have decided that they're going to do suicide missions against the Mexican military and the American military. I think the cartel, obviously, is being ran by a whole bunch of younger guys who have never met Donald J. Trump before. They don't remember anything about the caliphate. So these must be young guys of the cartel who are threatening to do suicide missions against the border. But hey, you try it one time. You give it a shot one time. You see what freaking happens to you after that.
First of all, that
It's
is
not
ridiculous beyond being
ridiculous.
ridiculous. Because
They want to use unmanned drones for suicide attacks.
Well, that's not suicide.
Yeah, I mean, obviously
it's suicide. It's suicide to the drone.
Suicide to the drone.
But those guys,
that's a threatening logic. They're pulling their chest. Suicide without a body.
I know those cartel guys are ridiculous. I mean, they're full of bravado and whatever. I understand you are what you are.
And they haven't seen landman, I guess.
At the end of the day, to get people into suicide attacks, then they've got to be like deep-seated philosophical believers. And the only thing that the cartel is a deep-seated philosophical believer in is money. And if you ain't alive, you can't spend it. The belief that people are going to come in there and with suicide vests or whatever, I mean, it's not impossible that they could kidnap someone's family and say, if you don't go do this suicide thing, then we're going to kill your family. But it wouldn't take them very long to realize that they're going to kill their family anyway.
Exactly. Now, the whole idea here is that obviously they have not seen Landman, so they're not really up to date with the
latest cartel strategies.
Exactly, the cartel strategy. How it can go bad, really quick, whenever a few Army helicopters that are not, of course, in D.C., that are over there in Texas, pull their weapons out on you. It can get really bad really quick.
Yeah,
I mean, it could be another whole
I think we ought to have our military establish a 1 mile buffer zone from the border and have our military declare it a training zone and do nothing in the world but run military training all the way up and down that border for a few months. And let's see then how many people come through, how much smuggling gets done.
Now, who's the name of that guy who wrote that? Who's the name of that guy? The producer? Taylor Sheridan?
Yeah, Taylor Sheridan, yeah.
Yeah, we should have him go ahead and give Trump a call, and they should work out like a movie set. And they go ahead and throw Sorkin in, because Sorkin might be a liberal, but, hey, good ratings for him.
Look, I've had all the Hollywood I could stand for a while.
Well, that's too bad it's not going away.
Well, I don't care. I don't care. I can encourage Hollywood of any stripe to get involved in politics because they don't know what they're talking about. They just don't. They're no more intelligent. They're no more well-informed than the average guy walking into a Walmart.
And I have listened to Billy Bob Thornton explain why he wears girl jeans today on a talk show. Billy Bob Thornton explaining why he's wearing girl jeans.
I don't care about stuff like that. People do weird things. I don't care that people do weird things. Who gives a crap?
Yeah.
People do weird things. I don't care if he walked in there in a woman's dress. It doesn't matter. What I care about is that when it comes to politics, he shut his mouth. Because his opinion is no more valuable. His opinion isn't even as well informed as mine, because at least I got 30 years in politics to back my opinions on. All he's got is a script that someone handed him.
Right.
Congratulations, you can memorize words on a page.
Well, these are 30 years. We've seen a lot of things behind the scenes, and the last 30 years or so, and it's been kind of fortunate because before I got involved in politics, I was a musician. I'm playing all the after parties. That's where you get to see the stuff. And that's actually what got me involved with the whole romantic idea of politics. Everything is maybe I can be one of these guys with a limo with the big multi-million-dollar house. But it is what it is. It is what it is in the fundraising world. But we used to do all the parties and everything for all those guys down here in Fairhope, Alabama, and Foley and Spanish Fort and all that area. We played for governors and presidents and everything else. It's pretty cool. But you're right. Most of the people at those parties had no idea anything about politics. They know about fundraising or writing a check. They didn't know anything about the mechanics. And the mechanics are where everybody gets lost in the shuffle. And what Trump is doing, Trump is showing everybody exactly mechanically how politics works. He's being so transparent. I mean, he's having these press conferences with the media at least 2 or 3 times a day when he's signing things. I mean, it's not like you have to go look for him or anything. He loves and just grabs the media. In fact, Melania is even talking to the media a lot now. I mean, the entire family is getting out there, and they're being very, very active and very open. And I think the whole idea here is that, transparency is really the way it goes. I mean, the USAID has not been transparent whatsoever. That's what we saw. Musk is taking a scalpel to it. Now Musk is taking a scalpel to the Department of Education. And it's, it's great there what they're doing there. Now, granted, there's a lot of things in statute that they cannot get rid of. There's also a lot of salaries that are non-statute that they cannot fund. And so basically, I think a lot of the idea is that the personnel is needed to implement the strategies, but if the personnel aren't being paid, then they're not going to be there to implement anything. And so I think that's one of the first areas they're going toward is cutting a lot of the personnel pay out.
Well, that's a lot of what they're doing is they're trying to make it so that they can, squeeze these people out, and killing all of these massive, personnel hiring things that like the dang IRS, the Democrats wanted to hire 87,000. They got clearance to hire 87,000 new investigators. The department only has 89,000 employees to begin with, so they're essentially planning on doubling the size of the department. How is that good? How is that good for us? They keep saying, "Oh, it's just so we can tax the rich, tax the rich, tax the rich." There's only so many rich people you can tax, and when you run out of rich people to tax, it just works right down the line.
I guess they forgot about whenever Trump got there 8 years ago. The first thing he did not give a damn about was the IRS audit department or the auditors. I mean, he said, "We don't need them. We're good. We got enough IRS agents to work," and he actually cut their staff quite a bit. Well, but you sent me a text earlier about the insurrection here of the Democrats now. We mentioned that earlier about the USAID is where the Democrats were protesting at, and that's the people's money. That's the people's bank. And I didn't believe it until you told me. I was like, there's no way we're going to pull this up here real quick. And it is so funny how they were so evil to do this.
Well, it's just hilarious. They have since for the last 4 years, we've heard the constant refrain of how they're going to, it was an insurrection and they came in and they were trying to take over the country. Well, these guys are trying to take over the bank. So they're going to break into they're going to break into the Treasury Department and do whatever and protest. Well, okay. Well, I thought y'all said that was illegal.
Yeah, we have a senator here. I don't know if you can hear it or not.
Attempt to take over, which will not stand. We will prevail. Let's go.
And this is where they're starting to march toward the building. They're all marching toward it. And if you watch the whole video, you'll see that they actually go inside. And they're all just going right through. So where's the February 4th?
Yeah, exactly. Like you said earlier, our February 4th committee.
Because this is much more dangerous. These guys are crazy.
They're breaking into the bank.
They are. They are breaking into the bank, literally.
Well,
they're robbing the bank.
In the last few days, you notice how they've been very upset that Elon's little Doge committee has gotten access to the Treasury's essentially check register.
Public record.
He said first off, it's public record, but the problem that they're having is that he has access to all of the expenditures,
exactly everything.
And they keep trying to focus on, well, Elon Musk has access to your payment records, your bank records and stuff. No, Elon, that doesn't make them nervous at all because they don't care about that.
Government.
What makes them nervous is that he has definitive records on how they spent their money because, since I was a child, honestly, I've heard these conversations of audit the federal government. Well, we've never been able to successfully do it because there's always large chunks of the budget that are kind of nebulous or mixed in a way, and there's a transaction in and out, and partial here, partial there. They did
always hiding.
They've moved so many things you could never get a straight answer because by the time you nail down where this one was, it had moved to over here. So now you got to hold on to it over here, and then look over here too, and then look over here to get the rest of it. And they just put the answers to the questions in so many places that one person couldn't find it, or one committee, 100 people couldn't find it, unless you got to the Treasury. And now here we are in the Treasury, and again, this is what has terrified Democrats and most of Washington for the entire Trump campaign, that Trump would get in here and actually do the things he said he was going to do. That's the most terrifying thing that they've got.
This is where J.D. Vance comes in. You know, a little bit of hillbilly elegy. You know, I mean, go ahead and talk about it. I mean, we are digging it up. We're digging it up good.
Oh, you're hilarious.
The whole point here is the reason why I bring out the banjo is that how bad the Democrat Party is. I mean, they are so backwards in their thinking where they don't want to advance any kind of idea here that we are looking at the books to make them better. I mean, if you want to cut debt, you have to see where the debt is. You have to know where the debt is. And you have to go ahead and own up to it that you are screwing the country over badly, and we need to get it fixed quickly.
But yeah, we'll make no mistake. Those Democrats, they don't care at all about USAID funding. They don't care about any of the things that have happened so far. What they're terrified of is that we're going to expose things that have never seen the light of day. That everyone's just kind of had this unwritten agreement about that we're not going to talk about that. And so
exactly.
they throw up these other things, you know, like USAID and stuff that, and frankly, almost all of the DEI stuff, just to as some sort of attack vector on the Trump administration to hopefully derail him before he gets to the things that really do matter to them. And I guarantee you, when you see the things that matter to them, you're going to be angry. I don't care if you're a Republican or a Democrat. The Democrats are going to deny that it's true for a while, but eventually they're going to have to come to grips with the fact that their party's been betraying them for decades, and frankly, the Republican Party's been betraying us too.
Exactly. So, I mean, I think, and I mean, there's been a lot of betrayal at every single part of the equation. But in order to get it fixed, I mean, we're only 14 days in, guys. We're only 14 days in. Okay, I mean,
it feels like it's been a year.
There's 350 some odd days left in this year, and my birthday's tomorrow. And by the time this is being broadcasted, it'll be my birthday. So it's a wonderful birthday gift to see what has happened today alone. And we've been praying for something like this. I mean, Elon Musk is as interesting as he is, as peculiar as he is, as smart as he is. I mean, the Democrats loved him. They loved him up until he wanted to put his guys back to work during COVID. That's a whole other story there, is that nobody's talking about the $40 million that Fauci, who's now, by the way, his pardon has been revoked by a federal judge, so there's no pardon on Fauci anymore. The $40 million that he sent to the Wuhan lab a week before COVID was dropped. And so, I know that, you know, what's her name? Kamala spent $1 billion on campaign fundraising. They spent $40 million on trying to decapitate Trump, and they did. And they successfully decapitated Trump on a pandemic that killed millions of Americans. It only cost USAID $40 million because it was USAID money that Fauci spent to the Wuhan lab in China the week before the virus was released out of that lab, which the CIA now has deemed that. And so hopefully the pardon that has been taken off of Fauci will stick, and they might be able to do something with it. That, I say, that'd be wonderful.
Well, I got to be honest with you. I've had some pretty serious misgivings about that Fauci pardon, and frankly, all of those pardons.
He's worse than Clinton ain't.
Well, the thing is that I don't understand how, and I think we've kind of, like touched on this in some previous broadcasts, but, I understand how Trump's pardons worked. Trump had a group of people who had been charged with something, had been
Overcharged.
convicted. Some had been convicted, some were awaiting trial, but they had all been charged. Every one of them had been charged. Some had gone through the judicial process, some hadn't.
You also had a lot of people sitting in jail for misdemeanors.
That had been sitting in jail for misdemeanors for 4 years.
Exactly, 3 or 4 years. That's ridiculous.
Right. But you derail my thought.
Wow, process.
So I at least understand how the Trump pardons worked. There's a direct line between his pardon and a specific charge.
Exactly.
I don't know that anyone has ever been pardoned for something that had never even been alleged. I mean,
exactly.
There's a lot of whispers in the hallways and frankly screams online, but no one had actually charged them with anything.
I think they're preemptive.
And the belief that you could pardon somebody. I mean, what if we later found out that all the people that he pardoned were literally the head honchos for a child sex trafficking ring? Well,
exactly.
Does that mean that now all of a sudden that they're free to go?
Well, technically, a preemptive pardon is supposed to be something that they're like being investigated for at the current time, or they've been indicted for, or something like that. They just haven't been or charged with. Not something that they theoretically might be charged with, or theoretically might be allegedly indicted for in the future. And so, that being said, since no crime has, there are only bravado threats made by a political opponent about who's going to go after somebody, that is not a reason to pardon somebody preemptively.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're right. So, I mean, there is no exact reason for it.
I don't know what the deal with this revocation is. If it hasn't happened, it should be happening here soon.
Yeah, I saw like last week, I think, also some of the family members' pardons did not pass the federal judge either. So not all of them passed, as Biden wanted them to have done.
Well, we shall see.
But like you said, Biden is now part of a big talent agency in Hollywood, right?
Well, no, he's represented by them.
He's represented by, okay. So maybe he'll be doing some sort of a TV show about
talent.
This. He's talent because he is goofy. I mean, he could be really good for Grumpy Old Man 3.
He can't do it. I don't even know why they bothered. I don't know why they bothered signing him. But to be honest with you, I mean, it's not like they can do anything with him. At best, if they are lucky, they may have 6 months, maybe a year, where he can stand up in front of a camera and after 20 or 30 takes, get something out.
Well, his family's been grifting for 50 years. I mean, you think they have some money saved up by now?
Well, yeah, but I mean, the thing is that that has nothing to do with whether or not he's going to be able to continue to get work where he's, where it's for him talking and saying things or doing things or endorsing things or doing whatever. It's just not there.
Yes, he could be doing the hearing aid commercials.
Doing an Alzheimer commercial. Honest to God, I mean, they really, really, really need to do some investigation into just there have to be a bunch of bystanders who could testify to his mental capacity.
Yeah, and then who really signed for everything?
And that's the point. There is no one author. In my business, for and most people's payroll checks, they come and they've got a signature on it, but it's not a real signature. It's just like a rubber stamp. Well, you can do that. You can do that on paychecks. You can do that on regular checks. You cannot do that on laws because you have to be able to undeniably take responsibility for any law that you sign. Maybe credit or maybe not, but you have to be able to do that. And someone just doing a rubber stamp.
I mean, I'm a caretaker for my father. He's 80 years old. He used to have to sign for a lot of things. So, I mean, that's the way it is. I mean, it has to be a regular signature. It can't just be somebody said something.
Yeah, for real.
Well, we're going to go ahead and take a break here real quick, and we'll be back with the next segment of Political Matrix News. Remember to subscribe, like, share, find us, and do everything you can to get ourselves out there on the social media platforms. Right now, they're becoming a little bit more lenient, so they're not suspending us as much as they were in the past. However, the algorithm is still against conservative media and new media, so please, need your help to go ahead and override that.